Hi, this is Edward Troxel. In today's tutorial, we're going to look at how to select events, but in this particular case, the person on the form wanted to select every other event. And so let's look at an easy way that we can go through and select every other event on the timeline, and then we'll modify the code and try to come up with other patterns. So let's take a look at this script. This one is actually a very easy one. We're going to do our for each track, my track, and myvegas.project.tracks, and then I'm going to create me a Boolean variable I called select this one, and I set it equal to true. Then we're going to go through each event on that track, and we're going to simply set event.selected equals select this one. But then we need to change select this one, so we're going to set select this one equal to not select this one. So if select this one was true, it's going to change it to false. If it was false, it's going to change it to true. So let's see how this works. Here I've got a timeline with a bunch of events on it. This is actually one of the previous tutorials that I did. And let's run the script. And we can see every other one is selected. If we look at this bottom line, you can see the first event is selected, the third event is selected, the 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, and so on, all the way down the timeline. If you look at track 2, you can see this first event there is selected. Notice that it's opposite of the ones on track 3, and the ones on that are on track 3 are selected versus the ones on track 2 are not selected. And of course that's because it has one additional event at the beginning. But now suppose that we wanted to do every other event, but we wanted it to start with the second event instead of the first event. That is also very easily done. All we need to do is change this select this one equals true and change that to false. And now when we save it and run it again, now notice that events 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 are selected instead of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. But suppose we wanted a little more flexibility and we're able to not just select every other event, but maybe every third event or every fourth event. We can actually do that too, but it's going to add a little more code. So let's see what that code would look like. In this particular case, I've created me a variable called select count equals 2, meaning I want to select every other event. Then, once again, I'm going to go through each track in my project.tracks, and then I'm setting another variable called my current count equals to 1. Then I'm going to go through every event on that track, and then I'm going to set event.selected equals false. Then if my current count equals 1, I'm going to set event.selected equals to true. And then we increment current count by 1. So we just use the current count plus plus, which increments it by 1. Now if the current count is greater than our select count up here, if it's greater than that, I want to set it equal to 1 again. So let's run this version and see how it works. As you can see, once again, it selected events 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so forth. Once again, suppose we wanted events 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 instead. Well, we can go in and modify the code, and let's change this current count equal to 2. Run it again. And now you can see it's selected events 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. We have additional abilities here. Let me change this back to a 1. And now let's change our select count to 3. Run it again. Now you can see it's selected events 1, 4, 7, 10. So we're skipping 2 in between, and it's picking up the third one down. So it's picking up every third event. Likewise, if I come in and change this to 4 and run it, it's now going to pick up every fourth event. Once again, suppose I wanted this to start on say the second or third event and pick up every fourth event. So instead of being 1, 5, 9, suppose I wanted it to be 2, 6, 10. I can tell this to start at event number 2. I got 4, 8, 12. Oh, I set it to start with a count of 2. So this was 2, 3, 4, and so it picked up the fourth one instead. If I wanted to start on the second event, then I actually need to set it equal to the number that I'm wanting to use. So let's set this equal to 4. And now it's getting 2, 6, 10. So basically for our current count here, if you set it equal to the select count number, it's going to start with the select event. If you subtract 1 from that, it's going to start with the third event. So you have to count backwards in order to get that to work correctly. But just play with the numbers and you can figure out which number would be appropriate to use. So this is just a couple of simple little scripts that will let you select events and select different patterns of events. So every other, every third, every fourth. And so we looked at a simple way for every other event, and then we looked at the more complicated way to get multiple patterns. Once again, play with the numbers so that you select exactly the ones that you're wanting to select. I accidentally got the wrong number in the first test there, so you can see, hey, you just play with the numbers and you figure out which number works correctly. It took me a second to realize why it had worked the way it did, but once I did, then I knew exactly what number to put in, which was equal to the count that I wanted to in order to start on the second event. So I hope you find this tutorial useful. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future, and like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.
Please sign up at www.JETDV.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.